Hey everyone, welcome back to Talk Emma. Today is a little different. No grammar rules, no explanations, no stopping to define words. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. Just us talking, like we always do when the microphone is off.
Exactly, just a real conversation about real things. The kind of English you hear between two native speakers at a cafe, on a walk, after work.
And for our B2 and C1 listeners, this is your challenge today. Listen, follow, absorb.
Don't pause. Don't look up every word. Just listen. Let the English wash over you.
And at the end, we will do a quick word tour, some interesting words from today's conversation, explained simply.
But first, the conversation. Real, natural, unscripted feeling.
Well, slightly scripted.
Just slightly. Okay, and before we start, subscribe to Talk Emma. New episode every single day. Like this video and share it with one English learner who needs real listening practice.
Okay, ready?
Ready. Let's just talk.
So, Emma, I have been thinking about something lately, and I want your honest opinion.
Uh-oh, when you say honest opinion, I know this is going to be interesting.
It's not that deep, but I have been thinking about the concept of comfort zones and whether as adults we actually push ourselves out of them enough.
Oh, okay, that is interesting, actually. What brought this on?
So my colleague Marcus, you know Marcus,
The one with the mysterious grain lunch?
the very same. So Marcus, completely out of nowhere, signed up for a stand-up comedy class last month.
No.
Yes, Marcus, who once turned red just giving a 5-minute presentation in our team meeting, signed up for stand-up comedy.
That is genuinely impressive and slightly terrifying.
Right? And I asked him why, and he said, I realized I had been playing it safe for too long. I was doing the same things every day, talking to the same people, going to the same places, and one day I just thought, what am I actually afraid of?
That is such a profound question, actually. What are we actually afraid of?
Because when you really break it down, most of the time it is just embarrassment or judgment or looking foolish in front of other people.
Which are all, when you think about it, completely survivable things.
Exactly. Nobody has ever actually died of embarrassment, although I came close once.
Tell me.
Okay, so a few years ago, I was on a first date. Nice restaurant, everything going well, and I went to reach for my glass of water and I knocked it completely into her lap.
Oh no, Jack.
The whole glass, ice and everything. And there was this moment, this absolute eternal moment where we both just looked at each other. And I thought, this is it. This is how I die, right here in this Italian restaurant.
What did she do?
She burst out laughing, like genuinely couldn't stop. And then I started laughing and the waiter came over looking very concerned. And somehow, it ended up being one of the best evenings I ever had.
That is actually the most wholesome story. Also, did you see her again?
We went on 3 more dates, actually, before she moved to Edinburgh. But the point is, in that moment, I thought my life was essentially over, and it absolutely was not.
Because embarrassment, as terrible as it feels in the moment, is never as bad as you think it's going to be.
Never. And I think that's what Marcus figured out, that the fear of something is almost always worse than the thing itself.
I completely agree, and I think this is especially true for anything that involves performing or being seen or putting yourself out there.
Like learning a new language in public with real people.
Exactly like that. Because every English learner listening right now has had that moment where they opened their mouth to say something in English and their brain just evacuated the premises.
Evacuated the premises. That is the perfect description.
And they stood there, smiling, nodding, hoping desperately that nobody would ask them a follow-up question.
I feel that so deeply, even as a native speaker sometimes. You know, there are conversations where I just lose the thread completely, and I am standing there nodding like I understand everything and internally thinking, what are we even talking about right now?
You are not alone. But I think what Marcus did, and what is so admirable about it, is that he chose discomfort deliberately. He didn't wait until he felt ready.
Because you never feel ready. That is the thing. Nobody wakes up one morning and thinks, ah yes, today I feel completely prepared to make a fool of myself in front of strangers. Today is the day.
Today is my foolishness day. I have been preparing.
You just do it, and then you survive it, and then it gets a little less scary.
And then you do it again, and it gets less scary still.
Until one day you're Marcus, standing on a small stage somewhere in London, telling jokes to strangers.
How did his first show go, by the way?
Not great. Apparently one person laughed, and that person might have been laughing at something else entirely.
Oh, Marcus.
But here's the thing. He came into work the next day absolutely buzzing, like genuinely energized. And he said, I cannot believe I did that. I cannot believe I actually did that.
Because the doing of it, regardless of the outcome, gave him something.
Confidence, or maybe evidence. Evidence that he could survive something uncomfortable.
And that evidence, once you have it, you carry it with you into the next scary thing and the next.
It compounds, like interest.
The finance brain coming out.
Always. But it's true. Every time you do something that frightens you a little, even if it goes badly, you have proof that you survived it.
And proof is so much more powerful than reassurance.
So much more. Someone can tell you, oh, you'll be fine, 100 times, but until you actually do the thing and live through it, you don't really believe them.
Which is why I always say to anyone learning English, just speak, even badly, even with mistakes, even if you conjugate everything wrong and use the wrong tense and accidentally say something completely different from what you meant.
Which, for the record, happens to native speakers too.
All the time. I once told someone in a meeting that I wanted to discuss our pubic relations strategy.
Emma.
I meant public relations. The B disappeared.
And what happened?
The room went very quiet, and then my manager, bless him, very smoothly said, yes, let's talk about our communication strategy, and moved on, like a professional.
That man deserves a raise.
He absolutely does. But my point is, I survived it. We all survived it. Life went on. And now it's one of my favorite stories to tell.
Because the things that mortify you in the moment become the things that define you later.
Or at least the things that make other people feel better about their own mortifying moments.
Which is genuinely valuable. You're providing a service, Emma.
I am a public service. Thank you, Jack.
So, back to comfort zones. Do you actively try to push yours?
Honestly, I try to. I'm not always successful, but I try to do at least one thing a month that makes me slightly uncomfortable.
Like what?
Last month, I went to a pottery class alone, knowing absolutely nobody there.
How was it?
Terrible. I made what I intended to be a bowl. It looked like a collapsed hat.
A collapsed hat.
The teacher came over and looked at it for a long time and then said, interesting shape, with the kind of tone that says, I have no idea what to say to you.
Interesting shape, the politest dismissal.
The absolute politest. But I went back the next week and the week after, and my bowls are now marginally less catastrophic.
That is growth, Emma. That is real growth.
Marginally less catastrophic growth, but growth nonetheless.
I think that is actually the most realistic definition of progress I have ever heard. Marginally less catastrophic than before.
That should be on a motivational poster, honestly.
I would buy it.
Me too. But seriously, I think the pottery class taught me something, which is that being a beginner at something is genuinely uncomfortable. You feel exposed. You feel like everyone can see how bad you are.
But everyone in that class was also a beginner.
Exactly. And everyone was also making collapsed hats and oddly shaped vases. And nobody was judging anyone because they were all too busy concentrating on their own disasters.
Which is, I think, true of most situations in life. People are far too focused on their own performance to spend much time critiquing yours.
We always think the spotlight is on us, but actually, everyone has their own spotlight, and they are all looking into it.
That is a genuinely profound observation, and slightly blinding as an image.
Don't look directly into the spotlight. Good life advice.
Right, alongside marginally less catastrophic than before.
My 2 life philosophies.
I think today's conversation has actually been unexpectedly meaningful.
Started with Marcus and stand-up comedy, ended with life philosophy. Classic Talk with Emma.
The pipeline is unpredictable, but the destination is always somewhere interesting.
Always. And I think for anyone listening, whether you are learning English or learning pottery or learning stand-up comedy,
Or learning to navigate a first date without drenching someone.
especially that, the message is the same. Start, even badly, even messily, even when you're absolutely certain you're going to make a fool of yourself.
Because you probably will, and it will be fine.
It will be more than fine. It will become a story you tell later with a smile.
And possibly a podcast episode.
Definitely a podcast episode. Okay, word tour time. Let's look at some interesting phrases from today's conversation.
Number 1, comfort zone. Your comfort zone is the area of life where you feel safe and at ease, where things are familiar.
He pushed himself out of his comfort zone, meaning he did something that felt uncomfortable, something new and scary.
Number 2, play it safe. To play it safe means to avoid risks, to choose the familiar option instead of the adventurous one.
I realized I had been playing it safe for too long, meaning I had been avoiding risks, sticking to what I knew.
Number 3, break it down. To break something down means to analyze it, to look at it piece by piece in smaller parts.
When you really break it down, it is just embarrassment, meaning when you look at it carefully and simply.
Number 4, lose the thread. To lose the thread means to lose track of what is happening in a conversation, to get confused.
There are conversations where I just lose the thread completely, meaning I stop following, I get lost in the conversation.
Number 5, buzzing. Buzzing means feeling extremely excited, full of positive energy, enthusiastic.
He came in absolutely buzzing, meaning he was full of energy and excitement.
Number 6, it compounds. When something compounds, it grows and builds on itself. Each small amount adds to the previous one.
Confidence compounds, like interest, meaning small moments of confidence build on each other, getting bigger and stronger over time.
Number 7, mortify. To mortify someone means to make them feel extremely embarrassed, deeply ashamed or humiliated.
The things that mortify you in the moment become the things that define you later, meaning your most embarrassing moments often become your best stories.
Number 8, nonetheless. Nonetheless means despite what was just said, nevertheless, still, even so.
Marginally less catastrophic, but growth nonetheless, meaning it was still growth, even if it was small and imperfect.
8 phrases, all from one natural conversation.
And if you understood most of today's conversation, without stopping, without pausing,
Your English is at a genuinely impressive level.
and if you didn't catch everything, listen again and again. Each time, you'll catch more.
That's how listening practice works. Repetition, exposure, time.
Your ears are getting sharper every single listen.
Before we go,
If you enjoyed today's real conversation,
please like this video.
subscribe to Talk Emma, new episode every single day,
Share this with one English learner who needs real, natural listening practice.
and leave us a comment. Which phrase from the word tour was new for you today? Or tell us about your most embarrassing moment in English. We dare you.
We read every single comment, everyone.
Thank you for listening, really listening. See you in the next episode. Until then,
Keep talking, keep learning, and keep growing. Bye, everyone.